Hello, very good evening to all of you. Today we are going to discuss the case note of Jake Peterson, a male student at your school and is moving to university soon. So Jake Peterson is currently 18 years old and he's moving to university. So let's go with the writing task. What we have here, we have to write a letter using the information which is given in this case note. You have to write a letter to Mrs. Cullen, a university practice nurse. So you are going to write to a nurse, not to anyone else. It's not to any other profession. It's the same profession. You are a school nurse and you're writing to a university nurse. Both are of the same profession. In your letter, you have to briefly outline Jake Peterson's history and your concerns. So you have to include two things there. The first thing is you need to include the the history of Jake, and you need to express your concerns when he's moving to the university and going to start an independent life. That concerns also should be expressed in the letter. So these two things are to be included in the letter. You have some time to look at the case note again. So this is a letter which is written to the school nurse, who you're a nurse at the boarding school, to an university nurse, practitioner, senior nurse practitioner, university. So let us go ahead with the case. We have the social background. So we have the school, which school you are in. You're in school, Holy House School, Brentskridge. If you want to include that, you can include at the end the name of the school. So right now, let's go ahead with the further things. Social background. So I have included the patient's name, date of birth. This is optional. If you want to include, you can include at the end. After your designation, you can write a school nurse. Then you can say Holy House School, Brentskridge. If you need, you can do that. Okay. Now let's go ahead with a social background. Do we need this thing? Now, there is no relevance in it in writing to the university nurse that his father works abroad or mother works abroad or live abroad. There is no use of telling him for the past 8 years he was at the boarding school. No, he is transferring. He's been transferred to the university from the boarding school itself, so it's understood. So it's not that much relevant. A father, male, pattern baldness is there, honest in 50s. It's quite natural to have baldness after this middle ages, so I don't think that's also relevant. So mother depression, onset 40s, 40 years after mother has also depression. So no, I don't think that is something related to thing, because you know that this boy is in boarding school, so it doesn't bother there. Now he is a non-smoker but consumes 20 units alcohol per week. So you know that he's a non-smoker, but he drinks around 20 units of alcohol every week. Now this is the only data I just need to underline. So this is, I have selected this thing because it's something relevant with the data. Let's go ahead with that. And karate black belt, swimmer, champion swimmer, we don't need that. So only thing from the social background which I have selected is this alcohol intake, name, date of birth. This is optional. If you want, you can take that. So up to this point, we have finished. Now we have alopecia from the age of 13. So that's it. That's, and we have a query of depression. Yes, we are going to include that too. Now we have seen up to this. Let me go ahead with this treatment summary. So we have a long list of treatment summary here, and this is from March 24, May 2014, 2014, 2018, 2018 December. So I can categorize this thing up to this, to one paragraph, because, and then no, I can go up to this because the most recent presentation is here. Yeah. So up to this point, I can make one paragraph, and from this year, the recent, that is from February 2019 up to this period, we can say, we can categorize into another, the most recent history and the past medical history, we can categorize into two groups. So this is what we are going to do there. So I need to brief these things, what happened, what was his, when was his first presentation. Okay, so what we did, he was presented, he was referred to a trichology specialist, and what he gave some steroid cream, and due to these things he discontinued this thing. So these things we are going to write what we have marked. So there was no further hair loss, and but we got some occasional hair growth. Regrowth was there in between 2014 and 2018. So after that we have the return of the hair loss. Pronounced hair loss is observed. Then we have the weight loss. We recommended him to see a doctor, but he insisted he will be going with the homeopathic therapy. So this is what we have seen in the past medical history. We go with the present history, but what we can see is that he has extreme distress, anxiety, social relationships are affected, and we have seen the alcohol consumption increase to 28 units per week from he was taking 20 units per week before. Now he's increased his consumption by 8 units. So this is what you can see here. Now after the visits, we have given him the support, but you can see the page, you can see the student is extremely anxiety. His hair loss is more and more hair is lost right now. So what we need from the university, nurse, is that we need to monitor him, because he is not in a good emotional stage. He's concerned about the transition to university and independent living. So two things he is concerned about. So we need to give the psychological support to him. We need to closely monitor him for any signs of depression or other complications. So monitoring is the first request what we are going to make at the university nurse practitioner, and we are looking for the possibilities for organizing special exam arrangements for Jake at the university. So this is what the case note is. When looking into today's date, that is 30 August 2019, Monica Cullen, so address is there, Mr. Cullen, dear Mr. Cullen or Mrs. Cullen, okay. It's Mrs. Cullen, sorry. It's Mrs. Cullen. Reference Jake Peterson. I just avoid the salutation there because the this is a student and he's in a transition stage. He's not still independent. He is about to start his independent living. So I just remove that salutation there. So Mr. Jake Peterson. So we just say as Jake Peterson. Jake. I'm writing to introduce again. I have to cancel off that. Jake Peterson, who is about to start his studies at your university. He has issues of hair loss, associated anxiety, and probable depression. So I am going to introduce Jake Peterson. So Jake Peterson is the person whom I am going to introduce you, and he is about to start studies at your university. So he's going to come to your university. He has hair loss, associated anxiety, and probable depression. These are the problems which he faces. He faced these problems. The first problem is issues of hair loss and related associated anxiety and probable depression. So that's the purpose, a very clear purpose. It analyzed all parts of the problem. So he has hair loss, associated anxiety. Because of hair loss, he has anxiety and probable depression. He might have depression. Now let's go ahead with the past medical history, the treatment summary too. When he was 13, he presented to our clinic the first time with complaints of hair loss. Jake complained of hair loss when he was 13. He came to us on 2014 when he was 30. He was therefore referred to a trichology specialist who could not determine the exact cause. The exact etiology was not determined by the trichology specialist. Because Jake experienced this personality changes, aggression, and sleep loss, he discontinued the medication. He has taken off the medication. So he took off the steroid cream, which was prescribed for the hair fall. So if I don't want to write this, which was prescribed. Okay, wait a minute. Since Jake experienced personality changes, aggression, and sleep loss, he took off the steroid cream which was prescribed. Okay, for hair fall. Yes, no problem. For a period of next 4 years, he had no further hair loss, however, had some regrowth. Okay. So he had regrowth of hair, but he has not complained of any hair loss further for the period of 4 years. By December 2018, his issue reappeared, and in about just 2 months, he lost 6 kg weight. So he lost 6 kg weight. He's now experiencing hair loss too. Therefore, he was advised to meet a doctor, but he didn't do that. He suggested that he will be going ahead with the homeopathic treatment. So although he was advised to see a doctor, he opted for homeopathic remedy, which he later realized had no results. So he realized later that the homeopathic treatment that he was taking had no results. During his recent presentation this year, that's in 2019, it started from February. In addition to pronounced the hair fall, Jake was found extremely anxious and subdued. He was mentally down. He was subdued. He was anxious. And he had pronounced the hair loss. His alcohol consumption has increased to 28 units from his usual intake of 20 units per week. So alcohol consumption also has increased by 8 units. That's we can see there. Since Jake is concerned of the new start at the university and an independent living, kindly monitor him closely. So it's important to monitor him closely because he's going to start a university life and he's going to start an independent life. Your monitoring is extremely beneficial there. And it would be appreciable if you could consider making special exam arrangements for him. So if you could make special exam arrangements for him, it would be appreciable. Okay, so that's it. And in case of any further queries regarding Jake's condition, please feel free to contact me, your sincerely school nurse. Now, this is the organization what we have seen today. So we have discussed the condition of Jake and the concerns he have when he moved to the university. This is what we have said. Peterson's past medical history, present medical history, and the concerns he has at the university and to lead an independent life. Thank you.